Well, congratulations, people. We finally made it to the week of April 30th. You know what that means. Title unification fights, undisputed fights. Oscar Valdez, Shakur Stevenson, Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor. Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Hey, hear him. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier.
Hey, what's up with it, family? It's Hot Boxing Minute, your favorite pharmaceutical engineer turned boxing analyst, back at you with the realness, of course, because it's the only way I know how to bring it. No filler, no BS, no narratives. Let's immediately dive right into it, shall we? The long-awaited super featherweight title unification fight between Oscar Valdez and Shakur Stevenson is finally happening. It's finally going down this weekend in Las Vegas. Oh, we've been talking about this fight and the build-up to this fight for years, ever since featherweight at 126. When Oscar Valdez was the champion back there and Shakur Stevenson was the hot blue chip talent coming up, and he was shredding through guys like Joet Gonzalez, and he was beating through guys like Pitufo Diaz, and then you had Oscar Valdez, who had his eyes set on other things like fighting, what's his name? Oh, why am I forgetting his names? Oh, goodness. Leo Santa Cruz and Josh Warrington, because those were the champions at the time. And, you know, Shakur Stevenson will tell you that he has been chasing and calling out Oscar Valdez that whole time, and Oscar's been ducking. But truth be told, Shakur didn't have a title then. Shakur did have a major reputation. He was beating all the guys he was facing in front of him, sweeping them on the cards. And Oscar was doing his thing. He had got his jaw broken by Scott Quigg, ended up switching trainers to Eddie Reynoso, got in a couple fights after that. If I'm not mistaken, it was Jason Sosa, or could be wrong. And then, you know, Blue Nose, what was it? Blue Nose Lopez, Adam Lopez. And anyways, Oscar Valdez ended up going in weight class, and he got to 130, super featherweight division, junior lightweight division, whatever you want to call it. Took out the beast, the WBC super featherweight champion at the time, Miguel Alacran Berchelt, in a stunner, because I think he came into that fight, I want to say a 3 or 4-1 underdog, and he ended up knocking out Alacran in spectacular fashion. A short time after that, Shakur Stevenson ended up getting in that fight with Jamel Herring, former stablemate, if I'm not mistaken, or at least they trained together under Bomac out there in Nebraska with Terrence Crawford. Why are these names escaping me? My goodness. Anyways, so they're out there training together, and they have a lot of sparring time together. And Jamel Herring, after essentially ending Carl Frampton's career in a spectacular performance out there, you know, did his thing, decides he wants to fight Shakur Stevenson, just to let everybody know he's not ducking, and give Shakur Stevenson, his friend, a shot at the title. Shakur Stevenson ends up getting that TKO stoppage victory over Jamel Herring. Start the drum roll. We get the big anticipation. There's accusations going back and forth. Shakur Stevenson is all over social media saying that Oscar Valdez is ducking the fight. You got old man Top Rank. Well, I don't know why I'm forgetting his name, but oh my goodness. Mr. Top Rank. Anyways, he's all over TV talking about they're exploring a possibility of a fight with Emmanuel Navarrete, who's not even at 130. And then there's accusations going forth that Oscar Valdez is ducking. My room is hot. Turns out he wasn't ducking. When push comes to shove, Oscar Valdez ended up signing the contract first. These weird mind games that these fighters do with each other is very fascinating. So they played the little mind games with each other. Oscar Valdez, Shakur Stevenson signed the contract. We are at that week, folks. Everyone is dismissing Oscar Valdez. If you go online and all the comment sections, everyone's pretty much saying that this is the time for Shakur Stevenson to take his place as the next pound for pound dude. Now, I don't know whether I agree with that or not. Actually, it's possible. It's possible. He has shown impressive features up until now. Great defensive skill set. The man hardly gets touched. Some would accuse him of being a somewhat boring fighter at times. The hit and not get hit thing isn't for everybody. It really is a thing for boxing purists and people who want to troll rival fan bases or do the whole like race card thing. You know, they like to, well, it's hit, not get hit, you know, even though regardless, it is kind of a boring thing to watch at times. As a boxing purist, I could appreciate it. What we're not going to do is pretend that people who aren't educated, really high class educated in the sweet science, can really understand what it is they're looking at. I get it. Troll away. Do what you want to do. So, we got Shakur Stevenson. He's fighting Oscar Valdez. The fight's happening. They're doing the press conferences already. They're doing the interviews with the Top Rank interviewers. Shakur Stevenson is definitely calling Oscar Valdez a cheater, just like I told Oscar he would do in the interview I had with Oscar Valdez. I got the interview, y'all. I did it like a few weeks back. I posted it like a couple weeks back. I even asked him in the interview, what do you do when Shakur Stevenson calls you a cheater? He laughed and shrugged it off. You got to know whether you're Canelo Alvarez, you're Oscar Valdez, whether back in the days in the thick of it, you were Floyd Mayweather getting caught with the IV, or you were Sugar Shane Mosley in the Balco investigation, or you were Roy Jones Jr. testing positive, that pretty much after that for at least a few years, you're going to hear those accusations thrown out constantly. So I'm sure Oscar Valdez was mentally prepared for it. What do we have going into the ring this Saturday night out there in Las Vegas? You got a skilled, gifted southpaw, Shakur Stevenson, a former Olympic silver medalist. The man is a very elusive target, likes to use the shoulder roll, likes to stand in front of his opponent's faces up until he gets cracked. When he gets cracked hard, like he did against Nakatila, he will go on the back foot and play the point game. He will do that. Now, it will break a person down, gradually getting just hit, not being able to hit that person back. Will that kind of offensive strategy that has been so successful for Shakur Stevenson work against Oscar Valdez, a person who has an established track record of being a dog? Now, we love that term dog. Now, let's talk about that term dog. What does it mean? It means you're willing to bite down on your gum shield when times get rough and not let anything distract you from the goal in front of you. That is winning your fight. We've seen it in countless fights with Oscar Valdez that got thick, in his fight with Genesis Cervania, in his fight with Scott Quigg where he got his jaw broken. He faced his fight. Why is my Siri going off? Anyways, we saw it in his fight against Alacran, where everything pieced together after a couple of years of being under Eddie Reynoso. So he didn't really have to get in too much of a struggle. He really just styled on Miguel Burchelt. One thing that Oscar Valdez is famous for is being a dog. He does not quit. You are going to have to beat him unconscious to make Oscar Valdez quit fighting. Now, we have not yet seen that from Shakur Stevenson. And I like to bring up the example of Little B-Hop. Now, a lot of people get mad when I bring up the Little B-Hop reference, and we saw a Little B-Hop fight Hector Luis Garcia a few weeks back. Now, mind you, let me look up Hector Luis Garcia's record. Hector Luis Garcia, he was a former Olympian hailing from the Dominican Republic, unheralded. He was undefeated going into that fight with Little B-Hop, and everyone pretty much dismissed him. He was a last-minute replacement for the original opponent for a title eliminator for Chris Colbert. And yeah, Chris Colbert got outdogged. He started getting hit heavy. He tried to exchange leather with Hector Luis Garcia and got folded up. And it was, I'm sure Chris Colbert's going to do fine and recover and will probably still has a good chance of being a champion. I don't know. It's up on Chris Colbert. I'm still a big fan of Little B-Hop. That dude is dope. Now, prior to that fight with Hector Luis Garcia, there was a lot of rumblings in the comment sections and amongst fans that the good dream fight is going to be Shakur Stevenson and Chris Colbert. Fans will front now and tell you that Chris Colbert was never that dude, but he was. But when it came time to being a dog, Chris Colbert kind of showed maybe he wasn't built with that crazy god body dog energy to get into a nasty brawl with Hector Luis Garcia. We have not seen Shakur Stevenson get taken out to deep waters in a brawl. Now, I don't know what Oscar Valdez's plan or approach is, but most people can guess or surmise that his plan going into this fight is going to be to make it ugly. Cut the ring off, get as close as you can, grab, brawl with him. And I think that's his best shot. I think Oscar Valdez, despite his 2 Olympic runs and his deep amateur pedigree, would be at his best to just get up in Shakur Stevenson's chest. Will he be able to execute that kind of game plan? I don't know. Will Shakur Stevenson be okay with stinking up the joint like he did with the Nakatila fight? I don't know. They both strike me, Oscar Valdez and Shakur Stevenson, as the type of fighters that listen to the criticisms and try to adjust and adapt. So I don't think Shakur Stevenson will stink up the spot like he did against Nakatila. I don't think Oscar Valdez will fight the same fight that he did against Conceição. A lot of naysayers and detractors will knock Oscar Valdez for that fight with Conceição. It was a tough fight. Oscar Valdez was going through the fentanyl accusations, and mentally you could tell he just wasn't in the fight. Well, I'm still going to lean on Oscar Valdez and his experience in this encounter with Shakur Stevenson. I know. There's no way in many people's eyes that Oscar Valdez stands a chance against Shakur Stevenson, but I love an underdog story, especially this kind of an underdog story. You've got a guy who really has not been tested against a true and tried product that we know is a warrior. So I'm going to throw myself up to the fires. I know I might get trolled for this and have to eat major crow on this one, but I'm picking Oscar Valdez to win by freak show, either unanimous decision or late stoppage. Should Oscar Valdez manage to touch Shakur Stevenson early and Shakur decides to fight on the back foot, Shakur will probably win in a very boring unanimous decision fight. That's just the way I see the fight going down. Anyways, we got Oscar Valdez, we got Shakur Stevenson, they got the fight coming up this Saturday. How do you folks see it playing out? Will it be the tough, proven warrior Oscar Valdez, or will it be the gifted technician Shakur Stevenson styling on him and moving up to the next level in the game, so to speak? In the comments section, y'all, let me know how you think this fight's going to play out. Now, let's move on to the next big fight that weekend. Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. You guys, I love me some history. If you follow me on TikTok, you already know history is my jam, whether it be Jack Johnson, Jack Dempsey, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis, whether it be guys like Tommy Morrison or Rocky Marciano. I love the history of the sport, whether it be Layla Ali, Christy Martin, Mia St. John, or tonight, I'm going to talk to you guys on this recording about Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. Katie Taylor, the undefeated phenom, the pioneer, Olympic gold medalist from Ireland, who has pretty much been carving a niche for women's boxing and putting it at least in the consciousness of mainstream boxing's mind. And then we've got Amanda Serrano, the knockout artist. I want to say her record is like 42-1. She's only got one loss. Been a champion in 7 different divisions. Some would say that in those 7 different divisions that she became champions in, she might have fought some questionable opposition. Regardless, she's got 30 knockouts to her name. She is an established knockout artist in the game. You got Katie Taylor, who's a gifted ring technician who throws volume. I would say her style might even be considered kind of an amateur type of style, but regardless of whether or not she fights like an amateur, which means she comes in, she comes out, she throws volume, she gets out. That almost amateur style has kept her undefeated, although I do think in her first fight against Delphine Pursoon, she should have got the loss. They're going to be fighting at a capacity crowd out there in Madison Square Garden this weekend in an awesome fight ticket. Liam Smith is going to be fighting Jesse Vargas. You got Franson Cruz Dezern, the heavy-hitting diva, is going to be fighting for the undisputed super middleweight championship in women's boxing. And then you've even got, oh goodness, do I have the list in front of me? Anyways, that whole card is pretty damn stacked. But the main event, Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, I'm going to just go out there on a limb. I hate doing these fight predictions, but I feel like people love to hear it. I'm going to side with Amanda Serrano. I think her power is going to overwhelm Katie Taylor. In Katie Taylor's last few performances, like I can point to her fight with Natasha Jonas, for example, it did seem like she struggled. It did seem like she lost a little bit of that sharpness. She's, if I want to say, she's 34, 35 years old. So she's getting up there to an age where you can start to see a little bit of that wear and tear of all those years of amateur experience and her professional career kind of adding up. Either way, the Vegas betting odds are roughly 50-50 for this fight. I'm leaning towards Amanda Serrano. So for those of you who are interested in this historical fight, they're both going to get paid like $1 million. Anyways, to those of you invested in this fight, you've got the fighting... What is up with my language tonight? To those of you invested in this fight, we've got the fighting pride of Ireland, Katie Taylor, undefeated at 17-0, going up against the Puerto Rican knockout machine, Amanda Serrano. Who wins this weekend? Let me know your opinions on that one in the comments section, y'all. Let's chop this one up. Y'all know I love to talk about y'all's opinions and like to talk to y'all in the comment sections about what you feel about these fights. This isn't going to be a one-way dialogue, y'all. I'm not here to pitch narratives or tell you to believe what it is I believe in. I want to hear what y'all think. I need to know what the boxing community thinks so I can build my content and build my format. Anyways, to those of you who are still here at the end of this video, please hit follow if you haven't already done so. Press that like button. Leave a comment. Till the next time, y'all, this is Hot Boxing Minute. Thank you for spending some time with me.